This is Sam Hooper of the Institute for Justice, and this is my week ahead in legislative law. So this is going to be another week when single-room occupancy or co-living as a form of housing and a way to defeat the housing and homelessness crisis is going to be at the forefront of the work that I'm doing. I've already drafted some model legislation, what we call the ROOM Act, the Restoring Options in Occupancy Models Act, that will re-legalize single-room occupancy, SROs, or co-living or boarding houses. It goes by a bunch of different names, but basically what it means is instead of renting an entire one-bedroom or studio apartment, people who choose to, who either want to prioritize low cost or proximity to the center of town, can instead rent just a lockable bedroom as part of a larger building and then share with other tenants kitchen, bathroom, other facilities, maybe a gym, maybe a cinema room, other things like that. These can be great at all different points, from young professionals moving to high demand, very expensive places like San Francisco, New York, all the way through to kind of cities where their downtowns have died or decayed a little bit, and they're trying to get people back into emptied out, abandoned high-rise buildings and old downtowns, all the way through to the bottom end of the housing market, where we're trying to help people who are one step ahead of homelessness stay in housing to avoid all the other social problems that come down the line. SROs are an answer to many of these problems. They used to be legal almost everywhere in America throughout the 20th century until around the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when they were just legalized out of existence. If we bring them back, we can do a lot to help solve the housing crisis. So I recently sent some friends of IJ, some of the various housing partners and think tanks that we work with, a first draft of the legislation that I've written. I've gotten back lots of really helpful feedback that I think is going to help me turn it into an even stronger piece of model legislation that hopefully we can then pitch to state legislators in different states to get that passed. So that's what I'll be doing this evening, and into Monday is finalizing the updated version of that so we can get hopefully into final review next week and then get that out into the public domain so you can all see what it is I've been working on. On Tuesday this coming week, I'll be heading back to Washington, D.C. for the American Enterprise Institute's 14th annual housing conference. So this is something they do every year, and they bring a whole bunch of different groups, from kind of ideological groups to think tanks to public interest groups like the Institute for Justice, to practitioners, private sector people, all kinds of people that work in housing, to debate housing policy and discuss how we can continue to work on zoning reform, on land use reform, and to get the housing built that we need. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So those are the two main things I'll be doing this week. We're also planning a webinar, another IJ-sponsored webinar to focus on co-living, SROs as well, to raise the profile of this excellent form of housing in advance of the model bill dropping, so that we can hopefully get some people willing to sponsor that legislation in state legislatures in the coming sessions once January rolls around. So for now, this is Sam Hooper, Legislative Counsel at the Institute for Justice, and that's my week upcoming in legislative law.